arrows. Arrows time. Head to the arrows. I really don't have production value, so I'm just reusing the same set. I really hope the audience doesn't answer because I really like these witty. Oh, you guys are here. I'm being shot at by sound effects. Yes, sound effects. They're very deadly and they can add some comedic values of death when needed. What's a Sonic gonna do to an arrow sound effect? Whatever. Alright guys, it's time for another review/discussion of our favorite Doctor's adventures. Okay, so last time we left off, obviously, we were inside the Dalek and it was wonderful and awesome. And now we're going back in time because in the beginning the Doctor's like, where do you want to go, Clara? And it's almost like he's avoiding the topic of Robin Hood because she really wants to go see Robin Hood. And so they go back in time and turns out he's real. And this creates one of my favorite scenes in the episode. I'm mostly recapping this, of course. One of my favorite scenes in the whole entire episode was where he sits there and he almost gets more theatrical, like the Doctor's sitting there. He's basically like, has anyone ever told you they basically want to punch you in the face? And how I was like, yeah, Robin Hood. I just kept hearkening back to Robin Hood Men in Tights the entire time. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. So the Doctor's sitting there and he's getting all theatrical. He's like, but I am the Doctor. And he's like, draw your sword. And he's like, I have no sword. I have a spoon. You know what? I want, like, you know how like they make those Doctor Who fan shirts? I want one with the Doctor and a spoon somehow because spoons are awesome. You could argue Tommy Wiseau's the pioneer of spoondom, but Peter Capaldi is perfecting the spoon because that scene was great, and then he was sword fighting with a spoon, and it was so amusing. And I feel like also kind of jumping around a little bit, but I feel like Peter Capaldi's Doctor is a Doctor that everybody can sort of rally behind, not just fans, but newcomers to the franchise. I mean, you could argue that all of the Doctors in their own way could, but I feel like, I don't know, this is a great entryway for a lot of new people. The way Capaldi does it is he's sort of goofy, but he's serious at the same time. You're getting sort of like every personality of the Doctor in each episode, instead of like one facet of it each time. Although I do feel like Peter Capaldi has a much larger emphasis on anger. Going on with this episode, I don't know about you guys, but I really loved Robin Hood, and the overacting and the theatricality of it, I feel like was for the novelty of Robin Hood, that because it was a legend, because it was almost like an emulation, that they were playing with your mind, saying, is he real, is he not? I really have to say that his theatricality of it played up to that to make you question it more, and I like that they're making you think, because I've kind of looked at people's comments and posts, and people have gone back and forth on the whole Robin Hood thing, and I thought he was awesome. I loved it, and I love that they played with your mind with it, but the way that the Doctor and Robin Hood talked at the end of the episode, and they talked about becoming legends, and that kind of thing, and how the Doctor's going to be that, I think that the Doctor, by the end of this season, they keep teasing it, but I think that the Doctor's going to do something monumental. You know how, like, sometimes with, like, Strax and all these characters that recur, Captain Jack Harkness, bring Captain Jack Harkness back already. Bring him back. Well, that started to get a little violent there. Let's get back on track. Robin Hood could be another Captain Jack type character because I don't know about you guys, but I love the banter that the Doctor and Robin Hood had. They each have huge egos. And the banter back and forth where they're arguing like, oh, he has a plan. Let's hear his plan. Oh, no, blah, blah, blah. His plan. I loved the back and forth, and I loved how Clara had to play the middleman, and I loved the remark where they went into the torture chamber, and Clara essentially is picked as the leader by the king. And at first, both of them take it as an insult, but when you really think about it, Clara is the leader. Clara is the one who has the plan. 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 Clara is the one who has the plan she's kind of in charge. She has to keep the Doctor in check a lot. Clara's talking about the Doctor's plan, and she's like, is there any plan that you have that doesn't include a sonic screwdriver? And at first they pause for a bit, and I love that because I was like, oh my god, they just threw out a breaking the fourth wall kind of comment about how the Doctor uses his sonic screwdriver a lot. I love his sonic screwdriver. I'm a huge sucker for the sonic screwdriver. I think it's one of the coolest devices ever. But going on that, they use it a lot as a story mechanic. As someone who's been like studied film and that kind of thing, they really use it as, I'd call it a move the plot along device, where you're sitting there and you're writing a script and you're like, God, I just don't know how to write this. You just, and the Doctor uses his sonic screwdriver to open the door kind of thing. And I love that they had to work without the sonic screwdriver. It reminded me of the William Hartnell era. They keep teasing the William Hartnell era in this a lot. And going on to further parts of the episode, they really play with your mind in that Blade Runner sense. And I thought that was so cool because they go into that ship and he talks about how none of it's real. And because the Doctor had been analyzing before, that scene was hilarious where he's picking hairs and that kind of thing. That was hilarious. But he's sort of figuring out and he's piecing it together that some of them are fake, but he doesn't know if all of them are. And I love that. And also, this is totally going on that offshoot. I don't know about you guys, but did you ever notice that the Doctor's starting to be wrong more and more often now? Because how he said, I hate to be wrong in the beginning of the last episode, of the first episode, and then in the second episode he was wrong about maybe a few tidbit things, and then in this one he was wrong again. I think that makes a really great balance between Clara and her spunkiness. I love Clara. She's so great, and she's so hot. I just went creepy there for a moment, but seriously, Clara's really hot. Like, wow. So, the bond between all of them, and seriously, can Robin Hood be a companion? Is that, like, against the rules? Like, are there rules saying that Robin Hood can't be a companion? Because how awesome would that be? The Doctor and Robin Hood traveling through space and time, doing awesome things, because in a way, the Doctor is Robin Hood, but for space and time. And I just think that it'd be really interesting to have them both, and I loved that sort of bickering mechanic about them, and it really worked. I really can't find a weak aspect of this episode. When I think about it, even the robots, they work perfectly because the archery contest revealed them in a flawless nature, where it was fun, it was funny, and I love how you see that the Doctor is getting less and less patient with things, where he went screw it and flipped up his sonic screwdriver and just blew up the whole target, and he basically was like, now, can we move on? Because he just wants to get it done, and I think that that's really funny. When they say it's a no like monkey business kind of Doctor, he just has no patience anymore, and I love it. It's so cool, and I love his attitude. It's like edgy in that sort of like fun edgy, and I think it's a great mechanic to add to the show because Matt Smith was goofy, and so is this Doctor, but almost Capaldi's goofier in a way, but yet he has a little bit more to him. And I'm not insulting Matt Smith, it's just that Capaldi sort of, I don't know, it's a different vibe and I'm really connecting with it. Also because I'm probably a really cynical person at times. But whatever. I love this episode, and going on to my theories, I have to say, the Promised Land is continuing to make a thing, but who were those robots? Like, those robots are obviously a new Moffat or Gatiss creation, and I want to know, like, why were they on their way to the Promised Land? Because that's where Missy is. What is bringing all of them there other than Missy? There's got to be something, and I don't know what it is, but I feel like it could be like a Pandorica type situation, and I mean, the ship crashed, and you could argue it crashed for a reason, or maybe it was to lure the Doctor. I don't know, but I think personally that all of these villains are coming into one place for one specific reason. The only one that we really haven't seen go there is a Dalek yet, and obviously these robots, because spoilers, obviously with the spoiler discussion, they don't make it. But who and why were they going there? Why was it so important? Why is this promised land so important to all of these robots? Especially robots. Did you notice that? The robots were really looking for the promised land. What is it with the robots? I think that there definitely has to be something, because the Cybermen are obviously in the episode with Missy. So I think it honestly has to do with robots. Missy is doing something with robots. And they're all coming. She's calling to the robots. I don't know why, but who knows at this point? I mean, anything is possible, and I love thinking about it. I love hearing your theories, guys. When you post in the comments, it just makes my day. Thank you for watching these videos and seeing my theories, my letting me just rant on camera about each episode. Obviously, I always have to remind you, the strain is tomorrow, but I always keep these videos to you coming. I'm not going to stop them. And all in all, just one more recap. Loved Robin Hood. I loved this episode. I just loved the dynamic that the characters had. The chemistry, especially with Capaldi, is just fantastic on the show, and it seems to just be building steam. And I really am excited for the next episode. So until next time, allons-y.